pure white, clean, and soft. We touch it every morning. Every home has a little roll of paper that quietly rests next to the sink. However, beneath that tenderness is a reality that few are willing to confront. Advertising tactics so seductive that they make us forget to ask questions, and forest clear-cut chemicals masquerading as kindness. They give us the impression that softness is a sign of love, and that the scent is pure. But what if something more worse is the foundation of that immaculate cleanliness? We're going to take that layer off today and reveal the truth about 5 poisonous toilet paper brands that millions of people continue to use without realizing it. There's more to this story than toilet paper, so stay tuned until the very end. This is a tale about having faith in a concept known as cleanliness. You might also have a completely different perspective on that blank piece of paper after seeing this video. Nearly every American family is familiar with the moniker Charmin. It is linked to a sense of familiarity: white, safe, hygienic, and soft. The brand has enthralled customers with its cozy family image since the 1930s. From the entertaining bears of today to Mr. Whipple and the vintage ads. However, the tranquil woodlands that are vanishing are hidden beneath those bears' smiles. Charmin earned the lowest possible score for environmental responsibility, an F grade, in the Natural Resources Defense Council's Issue with Tissue 2024 report. Why? They continue to use only virgin wood pulp from the boreal forests of North America, which are among the most significant carbon storage ecosystems on Earth. Trees support thousands of species of birds, deer, foxes, owls, and other wildlife, and each one that is felled not only loses its shade but also hundreds of years of carbon storage. The northern lung of the Earth is the boreal forest. However, every Charmin roll is ripping apart bits of that lung, encasing them in softness for the hands of the buyer. Charmin uses a chlorine bleaching method to produce dazzling white clouds that damage microbial ecosystems by producing organochlorine substances that linger in water and soil for decades. Although it sounds safe, being less hazardous does not imply that it is innocuous. They refer to it as elemental chlorine-free. The smooth, faintly perfumed sheets of paper are the result of a number of chemical reactions that use up energy, water, and even forest life. Charmin's approach is based on emotion rather than technology. They sell family care instead of paper. People stop asking questions when they hear the terms softness, gentleness, and clean for the whole family, thinking that gentleness equates to kindness. Thus, trust turned into a means of hiding the truth. Every crisp white roll of paper you are holding in your hand appears to be light, yet it is actually as weighty as a forgotten woodland corner. Our apathy is more frightening than the producing process. Charmin continues to be a daily choice for millions of people, out of habit and a sense of a reliable brand, not out of malice. However, being trustworthy is hardly a cause for celebration. Whenever we select that roll of paper, we unintentionally cause another forest cut. In the forest, every smooth slope conceals a scar. There is no need to compromise on true smoothness. Bamboo or sustainable fibers can be used to make toilet paper, which can also be recycled. However, our viewpoint is the first thing that must shift. A forest shouldn't be exchanged for gentleness. Just hearing the term angel soft makes it sound kind. Everything, from advertising to packaging, radiates a sense of freshness, cleanliness, and smoothness like an angel. However, have you ever pondered the origin of that scent? They describe it as having a light scent, a softness that you can sense, and a freshness that you can smell. It's comforting to hear that, but in truth, nature isn't the source of that cozy scent. It originates in a lab. Each roll of Angel Soft contains a blend of chemical solvents, preservatives, and synthetic scents that are sprayed into the paper surface to create the scent of cleanliness. Not all of the little incense grains remained on the paper roll. Some of the microparticles will come into direct contact with your body's most sensitive and delicate skin each time you use it. The American College of Obstetricians and Gynecologists has issued a warning that scented goods, including soap, wipes, and toilet paper, might upset the natural microbiota and cause rashes and irritation. These substances discreetly stay after usage, dissolving the skin's natural defenses. They don't simply dissipate. However, we think it's caring because the scent helps us feel cleaner. The clean perfume you trust could be the silent adversary of your skin. But in reality, it's the very sense of safety that's the silent intruder. One of the biggest paper companies in the US, Georgia-Pacific, is the owner of Angel Soft. And they are certain of one thing: customers purchase feelings rather than goods. Some essential terms like comfort, family, and soft care are included, along with a hint of lavender and the aroma of new linen. That is sufficient to arouse feelings of peace, home, and cleanliness. However, pulp derived from primary forests is part of a less than ideal production chain that lies behind those statements. The bleaching method with chlorine is still in use. The formulations for fragrance compounds are maintained under wraps. The ingredients are not revealed. Although Angeloft appears to be a safe option on the shelves, it nonetheless received the lowest score of a F on the NRDC environmental report card. Although freshness and fragrance are not the same, I believe that aroma is an indication of cleanliness. In actuality, what is referred to as fresh is merely a sensory illusion. Although a nice smell can be comforting, comfort does not equate to safety. The naivety in our own assumptions may be more hazardous than the toxins in the paper. Fragrances are not necessary to feel clean. In actuality, natural cleanliness is completely odorless. It is not necessary to fragrance toilet paper. It must be truthful. Remember that each time you select a roll of paper with a lavender aroma, you are selecting chemicals over health and habit over knowledge. You believe that you are a wise consumer, yet the system is quietly cheering you on. Costco's private label brand, Kirkland, is a representation of astute shoppers. To save money, buy in bulk. For peace of mind, stock up. A pack containing 48 rolls of paper. You feel like you've already won the financial game just by gazing at it. However, that is the most advanced ploy of contemporary consumerism, because toilet paper is not sold at Kirkland. They offer you a sense of safety, the satisfaction of having made the proper decision, prepared far in advance, and purchased enough. In reality, though, each of those savings bundles is traded for hectares of forest and innumerable carbon emissions behind the mountain-high shelves. Kirkland markets itself as a brand with sustainable supply chains and ethical sourcing. On closer inspection, however, each pledge is as vague as mist. A 100% recyclable certification does not exist. Transparent data on reforestation is lacking. A decrease in emissions is not guaranteed. The explanation is straightforward. The one with the lowest price always prevails. Their technology uses a lot of virgin wood pulp to supply the monthly demand for millions of rolls of toilet paper. It just takes a few minutes for an old tree to turn into fluffy paper rolls on a Costco shelf, yet it takes hundreds of years for it to reach maturity. A tiny portion of the Amazon or boreal forests vanishes into thin air each time you grab another roll of bulk paper. Costco takes great satisfaction in its flawless supply chain operation. However, the system continued to function flawlessly because of that same perfection. Thousands of tons of pulpwood were transported by trucks all day and all night. Every week, the factory uses millions of liters of water. Each 48-roll pack was wrapped in plastic packaging that was thrown away after a few days of use. Here, efficiency serves financial gain rather than the environment. Although we are persuaded that increasing our purchases will save money, this is actually a loop of unintentional consuming. You utilize it more quickly, and the system rotates more quickly the more you purchase. A mechanism driven by deliberately fabricated sensations of scarcity. According to a consumer psychologist, we purchase peace of mind rather than need. You get a sense of control over your life as you gaze at the pile of paper in the warehouse. In actuality, though, you are the one under control, because there is a billion-dollar marketing campaign that leads you to believe that hoarding is necessary for safety every time a new box is added to the automobile. It's the delusion of sufficiency in which the idea of saving manipulates trust. The harsh reality is that if the earth has to pay the price, cheaper is never better. Every packet of inexpensive Kirkland paper results in a lot more pollutants and one fewer forest tree. A customer thinks they've just made a wise choice. Purchasing more does not equate to saving more money. Occasionally, it's simply the most covert tactic to make you buy more and lose more. Luxury is said to be a sensation, but what if that sensation is fleeting and has long-term effects? The name Quilted Northern sounds opulent. Based on publicly accessible reports and data from reliable organizations, all information is provided for educational, analytical, and consumer awareness purposes. I appreciate you staying until the very end. I'll see you in the upcoming videos.